Let us chant from verses 11 to 20 of chapter 9. Avajananti mam mudhaha manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajanantaha mama bhutamaheshwaram moghasha moghakarmanaha moghajnana vicetasaha Rakshasim Masurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shritaha Mahatmanastu Mam Patha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha Bhajantyananyamanasaha Nyatva Bhutadimavyayam Satatam kirtayanto ma yatantascha dridhavritaha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate jnana yajnena chapyanye yajanto mam upasate yekat Dena prathak dena bahudha vishvato mukham aham kraturaham yajnaha swadhaham aham aushadham mantroham ahame bhajyam aham agniraham bhutam pitahamasya jagataha Mata dhata pitamaha vedhyam pavitramonkaraha riksamaya juhe vacha gathir bhatta prabhu sakshi nivasa sharanam subrat prabhava pralayasthanam Nidhanam bijamavyayam tapam yahamaham varsham nigrihnam yutsrajami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasachaham arjuna traividya mam soma paputa papaha Yajnairishta swargatim prarthayante te punyamasadhya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhoghan
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We were concluding verse number 13. Verse number 13, where he said, in comparison to the Rakshasas and the Asuras, the Mahatmas, possessed of my divine nature, they worship me with Ananya Manasaha. They worship me with unwavering mind. Having known me to be the imperishable source of all beings. So worshipping me, unwavering mind. Where all there is desires, the mind keeps going there. Wavering means mind wandering. And when we say mind wandering, what do we mean by mind wandering? Mind wandering means thoughts going all by itself and you cannot stop it. That is called wandering. The thoughts go by itself. And how much ever you try to stop it, how much ever you try to say don't go, it keeps going. This uncontrolled movement of thoughts is called wandering. Why it is uncontrolled? Because of the power of the desires. Because of the power of vasanas, the power of desires are so strong that you have a power of your desire and you have a power of knowledge and understanding. So you have two powers. All human beings has two powers. What is called mind and intellect. Mind is one power, intellect is another power. Mind is one strength, intellect is another strength. So if the mind is powerful, what happens? It wanders everywhere. If the intellect is powerful, it prevents the mind from wandering. One. When the intellect is powerful, it prevents the modifications of the mind. It prevents the disturbances that the mind causes. Intellect does two things. One is to keep the mind in focus. Another is to prevent the mind from getting into the disturbances. So whenever we talk about wandering, you will think intellect means the opposite. What is opposite? Keeping it focused. The main purpose, the main function of the intellect is not to keep it focused, is to prevent the mind from going through the modifications. Modifications of the 5 modifications that we keep talking about. Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya. These 5 modifications has a power. And that power carries you away. Unwavering mind means there is no that power which can carry the mind away. That's what it implies. So unwavering mind implies the mind under, the unwavering mind says the mind under control. And what do we mean by mind under control? Mind under control means the modifications are under control. To bring the modifications under control, the desires ought to be under control. You can't have a strong desire and manage anger. You can't have a strong desire and manage fear. It's not possible. So if you do not want these modifications to come and disturb you, you should be able to control the desires. That is the unwavering mind. So here he says in verse number 13 that we concluded last week, Dridhavrataha, the people here, the Mahatmas, have this unwavering mind. Unwavering mind implies the force doesn't carry them away. There is no force that carry them away. If there is no force that can carry you away, you will be called a Mahatma. If there is a force that sweeps you away, you will be called opposite of Mahatmas, Duratma, sympathetic person. You have to sympathize with Duratmas, isn't it? Rakshasa and Asura is Dushtatma. Isn't that is different category altogether. They punished. They are punished. Therefore, Mahatma. Mahatma means one who doesn't have a wavering mind. In Vedanta, when we talk about, again I am repeating, in Vedanta, when we talk about non-wavering mind, don't think like concentration. Everybody will go back thinking non-wavering mind means the mind that can concentrate. In Vedantic language, non-wavering mind means what? Whether you take it or not doesn't make any difference. In Vedantic language, non-wavering mind means the mind that is not swept away by the five. Why we don't really talk about concentration and all that? Even if you have very powerful desire, one strong desire can control other desires for a temporary period of time. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean your mind is not wavering. A person has a strong desire to do something, like a Rakshasa, like Asura, like Ravana had an unwavering mind, correct? Hiranyakashipu had an unwavering mind. Ravana had an unwavering mind. But will we call them Mahatmas? If you take the definition of unwavering mind means concentration, then Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, all of them must be called Mahatmas only, no? But we don't call them as Mahatmas, even though I think Ravana and Hiranyakashipu focus is much better than any one of us, I think, isn't it? I don't think any one of us can focus the way that they were focused. And yet we don't call them as Mahatmas. Why? Because in Vedantic language, wavering mind means wavering because of the five disturbances. The disturbances of Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, and Bhaya. Mahatma is one who doesn't have these disturbances. Mahatmas means one who is not affected by this, disturbances. Such a person worship me with having known me to be the imperishable source of all beings. What did he do that he became a Mahatma? What did that person do that one became a Mahatma? That is verses 14-15. What did that person do to become a Mahatma? Now he is saying, previous verse he said Rakshasa, Asura. Now he is saying Mahatma. Now what did the person do to become a Rakshasa and Asura? Actually, if you don't do anything, you'll become a Rakshasa and Asura, isn't it? Or if you don't do anything meaningful in life, by default you will be a Rakshasa, Asura. So you don't need any special training to become a Rakshasa and Asura. And all that you have to do to become a Rakshasa, Asura is what? Don't do anything. If you don't do anything meaningful in life, by default, who you will be? A Rakshasa, Asura. That is clear. Now, Mahatma. Okay, he had an unwavering mind, he got things under control, etc. All that is fine. What did he do to become a Mahatma? Something he did. As a result of that practice, he is called as a Mahatma. That we are going to start from verse number 40. So, unwavering mind, you understand it as the mind that is not affected by the five. Sir, old age, sir, I am not able to concentrate. Are you a victim of the five or not? Young age or old age doesn't make any difference. If you are a victim of the five, you are an Asura, Rakshasa, irrespective of the age. If you are not a victim of a five, you are a Mahatma. Otherwise, people complain that I am not able to concentrate, I am not able to focus. I said, so what if you are not able to focus? Okay, all those who are focused, what have they achieved? So it is not the focus, the focus is not on focus here, if at all you can say it like that, isn't it? We are not trying to develop the focusing mind, concentrating and all that. What are we trying here? Unwavering minds, the mind that is not a victim of the five, and you not being a victim of the five has got nothing to do with your concentration or anything. Or if you don't have the five, by default, young or old, you will be concentrating. So you don't have to make a special training to concentrate on all. You got to focus on eliminating this, managing this five and eliminating this five, because Managing and eliminating this 5 is what is called unwavering mind. All along, we have a misunderstanding that unwavering mind means the mind that can focus, concentrate. In Vedanta, we don't have a very big value for focus, concentration and all. Why? I'm repeating again, third time I'm repeating. Why we don't have a very big value for focusing, concentration and all? We don't have a big value. Why? The law we understand. What is the law? A strong desire can control the weaker desires. And the strong desire controlling the weaker desires will be misunderstood as concentration, focus. One strong desire can temporarily control all other desires. The temporary control makes you look like you have concentration. But that person is also a victim of the 5. It means what? Unwavering mind means not a victim of the 5. Okay, if you don't understand the law, if you don't understand the logic and reasoning behind it, go by the example. What is example? That's why we give the example of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. The way they concentrated and did tapas, Indra and other rishis get jealous. Indra get jealous, the other rishis get jealous, the way that they were doing tapas. Concentration. Tapas means concentrated effort. Concentrated effort. Would you call that person a Mahatma? Concentrated planning, thinking, bombing and killing 5,000 people. Would you call that person a Mahatma? Because he was also thinking, he is also planning, he's also made effective use of the resources, dry run he does, and finally, one bomb, isn't it? Would you call that person a Mahatma? No. Why? Because Mahatma means not the victim of the 5. A person who is not the victim of the 5 is the one whose mind doesn't waver. Whose mind doesn't waver. If the mind is not wavering, it will be focused. Focused on what? This is very important. The focus is not the point. The question is focusing on what? Focusing on what? You can focus on destroying the other. You can focus on very many things you can focus upon. Mahatma means one whose focus is on the imperishable source of beings. Mahatma means one whose focus is on the supreme reality. Mahatma means one who is focusing on God, the self, the supreme reality. Is not victim of the 5. So Mahatma means 2 things. Focus on the supreme self and not a victim of the 5. This person is a Mahatma. Very good definition, very meaningful definition. It is very impressive to hear. It is very nice to know, and it looks like very easy to become a Mahatma also, and we all want to become that Mahatma. The question is, what did that person do to become a Mahatma? Verse 14 talks about 2 disciplines. Verse 15 talk about a discipline. Following that person becomes a Mahatma. Verse number 14 padi.
Satatam kirtayanto ma yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते.
Here he is saying, always glorifying me, striving, firm in vows, prostrating before me with devotion, ever steadfast, they worship me. Always glorifying me, striving, firm in vows, prostrating before me with devotion, ever steadfast, they worship me. Now, what is he saying? He is coming to the difficult part of Vedanta. Verses 4 and 5 and all is the easy part of Vedanta because you don't have to do anything. I am in the world. I am not in the world. World is in me. The world is not in me, and all is very easy. Because all that you got to do is what? Simply use some common sense and understand it. That's it. Use some common sense, you will understand it. That's very easy. Now he is coming to the difficult part. The difficult part of Vedanta is what? Acquiring the qualifications. Acquiring the necessary qualifications is the most difficult part. And nobody wants this difficult part. Why? Because this involves effort. This involves effort. That's effort. Bahunam janmanamante. Many janmas of effort. When we say many janmas of effort, means long-term continuous effort is required. A break. Okay, long-term continuous means sometime we can take a break also. No, there is no break also. Acquiring the qualifications is the most difficult part, because if you use a little bit of common sense, intelligent understanding of Vedanta is very easy. Intellectual understanding of Vedanta is very easy. That's not a problem at all. All that you got to do is use little bit of common sense, little bit of thinking, you can understand. And so many textbooks are there, so many ways of explanations are there, where they have made it so simple that understanding is never a problem. But where people have a problem is what? I understand, sir, but nothing is happening. I understand, but nothing is happening. I understand, but nothing is happening. Why? The necessary qualifications. What is the necessary qualifications? Here he is talking about two preparations, the Karma Yoga and the Bhakti Yoga. Always remember, Karma Bhakti will go as one group, Jnanam will come as another group. So Karma Bhakti combined in one set they will talk, Jnana Yoga separate they will talk. Right through, that is how it is taught. Lokesmin dvivida anishta pura prokta maya naga jnana yogena sankyanam karma yogena yoginam. Verse number 3, chapter 3. The formula is laid out very clearly. What is the path that is laid out? Karma bhakti, shravana manana, jnanam, nididhyasana. So it is, these are the preparatory qualifications. Of the two preparatory qualifications, Karma Bhakti combination is more problematic than of the two. The Karma Bhakti combination is more difficult. Why? That we are going to see today. That's what we are going to see today. As they did this, as a result of it, they did this. As a result of this, they become the Mahatmas. So, Satatam Mam Kirtayantaha. always glorifying me. Drida vrataha, firm in vows. Namasyantaha, prostrating. Nitya yukta, ever they try to practice this. They try to practice this uniting with me. Yatantaha. Yatantaha means now. Start now. What do you have to start? Start now, start now, start now. We are starting for the last 30 years, I think, isn't it? 30, 40 years, we are starting only, isn't it? Start now, yes, correct. We will start. What is the starting? What is this yatantaha? What do you start? One discipline. Satatam kirtayantaha. Satatam kirtayantaha. Kirtanam. Satatam. Always glorifying me. Praising me. Glorifying me. Singing me. All that. Kirtana means Satatam kirtayantaha. Now, there are two ways. Where there is the guru around, you need not know, you need not do kirtayantaka. Why? Because the very presence of the guru makes you, the very presence of the guru makes you remember the highest. And you can get neutralized to the guru also. That's another problem. Yeah. You can get neutralized and even in the presence of the guru, you may not realize the highest. You may not remember even in the presence of the guru, you may not remember the highest, but that is again, yeah. I don't know which category this people can be put in, isn't it? At least the Rakshasa Asura don't have a guru, so they are continuing in their own way. Now, there are people who come in contact with the guru, get inspired by the higher for a while, and then get neutralized to the guru. Which category you can put them under? We can create a special category, Srikant. Vedanta class category, no create panna, isn't it? We can create a new category here. Vedanta class category. Sunday morning Vedanta class category we can create. Why? Because even in the presence of the guru, the highest is not. You get neutralized to the highest. Therefore, what is the satatam kirtayantaha? When you are not in association with the guru, when you are not in front of the guru, when you are not in association with the guru, associate with people who will talk about me. That is satatam kirtayantaha. Not in the class. Outside the class, when you are not in touch with the knowledge, when you are not in touch with this, whom do you associate with and talk? Whom do you associate with and what do you talk? That is called satatam kirtayantaha, isn't it? Whom do you associate with and talk? How is this Brahmastra review, isn't it? I don't know, there's something called Brahmastra. I thought Brahmastra, some Mahabharata story is coming. I didn't realize it's a movie that got released yesterday. So Brahmastra review now. How is it going? Satatam kirtayantaha. Satatam kirtayantaha means when you are not in front of the guru, when you are not in contact with knowledge, the association with people must be in such a way that everybody will be talking about me. The way of doing it is called singing. It is not that you go there, sing like how you dance in a disco and come back. and think that you have remembered God and all. Yeah, that's what people do, isn't it? Satatam kirtayanta means you go and attend a bhajan session for 3 hours and come back. You remember God, huh? That is not satatam kirtayanta, where everybody will have the same focus. Everybody will have the same focus. What is the same focus? Everybody will have the focus of reaching me. Associate with those, talk to those who have the goal of reaching me. This is called satatam kirtayantah. By doing these practices, only you can become a Mahatma. But sir, in this world, how can we become a... Because where do we get people like that? There are people like that. If it is your priority, these people will appear in front of your eyes. If it is not your priority, even if they are in front of you, you will not look at them. Ganesh, you follow? But then, sir, where do we get people in these days, in this Kali Yuga and all? Everybody is only like that. No, where do we go? Where do we find such people? Don't have to find such people and all. The priority will make them, it will be revealed. So the satatam kirtayantaha, ever glorifying, always glorifying me. This is a reference to bhakti. This is a reference to it's a very subtle reference to bhakti yoga. Striving, firm in vows. Wherever striving, firm in vow comes, that's the classic poetic language of talking about karma yoga. Wherever kirtayantaha, namasyantaha comes, it refers to bhakti. Wherever kirtayantaha, namasya, wherever prostration, glorifying, singing about me, talking about me, and all the talking about me, praising me, singing me, all that comes under bhakti. So two disciplines, always kirtayantaha and namasyantaha is a reference to bhakti. Yatantaha and dridhavrataha is reference to karma. And what do they do? With bhakti, ever steadfast, they worship, upasate. They worship. Upasate means they are making an effort to get closer to me. Upasate, karma and bhakti take you closer to God. Jnanam brings about that aikyam with God. Remember this. First, you have to get closer, and then only first you have to get closer. After getting closer, aikyam will happen. When you are far away and you want aikyam directly, how it will happen? That's why people say Vedanta is not working at all, sir. Why? Because without getting closer, you straight away want aikyam. You straight away want oneness. So first preparation is what? Get closer. Upasate. Upa, the very word upa means, like in the word Upanishad, upasana. The word upa means nearer, closer. So there are certain practices that takes you closer to God. There are practices that brings about an aikyam. So here we are talking about a practice that is going to take you closer to God. Next verse, we are going to talk about a practice that will bring about an aikyam. And then he will start talking about me. That's all, isn't it? This is me, this is me, this is me. From chapter 9, he will start. Chapter 10, he will start. Chapter 11 also is going to say, this is me, this is me, this is me. A discipline that takes you closer. Karma yoga, what is karma yoga first? Karma Yoga is an action done for a purpose of self-purification, Chitta Shuddhi. That is called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a preparation for self-purification. Bhakti Yoga is a practice for self-purification. So Karma Yoga brings you purification. Bhakti Yoga brings you purification. That purified person listening to the Mahavakya attains Aikyam. Without purification, if you listen to the Mahavakya and all that, what will happen? Like Wednesday class, Madhuri, what will happen without purification? You'll become a very good Vedanta professor, that's all, isn't it? You can become a very good Vedantic professor, but Aikyam will not happen. Why? There is no purification. Now, how to achieve purification? Do Karma Yoga and do Bhakti Yoga. From karma, it has to become Karma Yoga. Action is an insignia of life, which we all have studied any number of times. Action is what you are doing all the time. When does karma turns into Karma Yoga? Karma turns into Karma Yoga when the purpose of the action is defined clearly. When the intention of the action is defined clearly, when the purpose of the action is defined clearly, then only karma turns into Karma Yoga. What is the purpose of action? The purpose of action, if it is defined as Chitta Shuddhi, self-purification. Nowadays, we don't use the word self-purification. We use the word self-management, isn't it? Because managing looks like a better word than because purification makes you feel like you are a dirty person. We have to become pure. But when you say self-management, that looks that doesn't make you feel so bad, isn't it? But nevertheless, whether it is purification or management, I don't know, whatever word you want to use, you can use. Two things you have to follow. What are the two things? Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Dedicating actions for purification. Okay, when you are not dedicating actions for purifications, you are becoming impure. What is becoming impure? The ego and egocentric desires. When the ego is becoming stronger and stronger, when all the attention of the desire is, when all the attention upon action is to fulfill your desires, this is how you become impure. You do an action and the ego is strengthened. You do an action and you want a materialistic result out of it. When you do an action and the ego is strengthened, when you do an action and when you want a materialistic result out of it, that is how you become impure. Now what is purity? Purity means you are not doing things that is going to make your ego strong. You do an action and your ego doesn't become strong. Drida vrataha. What is the vrata? I'm under vow, they say, no? I have taken a vow. Vrata means Sanskritla they call it as Vratam. Srikanth. அது தமிழ்ல என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க? நான் காப்பு கட்டிக்கிட்டேன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Isn't it? புரியுதா? கையில காப்பு கட்டுறதுன்னு என்ன அர்த்தம்? They have taken a vow. இல்லையா? அது வரைக்கும் they will not do certain things, isn't it? Even though they are so tempted to do, but they will say, இல்லப்பா கையில காப்பு கட்டிட்டாங்க, ஒன்னும் செய்ய முடியாது, they will say, isn't it? So, Vrata means a vow. Drida vrataha. What is that drida vrataha? Vratam means spiritual practices. Drida vrataha means firmly abiding in those practices. Okay. What are the practices? The very Vedanta, the very Shastra has given out the list also. You need not go and find out what is the list and all. You don't have to find it because they have given the very, they have given the very list also. Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Brahmacharyam, Aparigraham, Kshama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Samadhana, Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshatva. இதுக்கு தான் சார் இந்த கர்மா பக்திலாம் வானவே வேணாம். That's why we don't want this karma and bhakti and all. Just talk very nicely, entertain us and talk very nicely, entertain us and go away. That we are okay. The Kshama, Dhamma, Yama, Niyama, who is asking, isn't it? So what is this Drida Vrataha? Drida Vrataha is nothing but a list of Yama, Niyama. Okay, what is this Yama, Niyama? Where do we get, what is this Yama, Niyama list and all from? Atma Bodha, verse number 1. What we call as Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat is what is, namakla the syllabus in our Vedanta class, this is out of syllabus, isn't it? Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat and Yama, Niyama and all goes out of syllabus. And yet Mahatma means one who has practiced that. Ahimsa means what? A refinement where causing himsa is uncomfortable. That is ahimsa. See, there is a refinement in your personality where causing hurt to another is very, you feel very painful. You feel very uncomfortable causing himsa. That is called ahimsa. Opposite of ahimsa is himsa. What does himsa means? Through thought, through word, through deed, relishing, relishing the pain. Ahimsa. Satyam. Satyam doesn't mean being factual. Understand that? Satyam doesn't mean being factual. Then what is Satyam? Satyam means if you speak, you will speak about the highest. If you have nothing to speak about the highest, what you will do? You will just stay quiet. Satyam doesn't mean being factual. You understand? Sat. You talk about Sat. If at all you want to talk, you talk about Sat. If you don't have anything to talk about Sat, what will you do? You will stay quiet. Mundaka Upanishad says, don't talk anything else. Mundaka Upanishad says this directly. Anya vacha na vimunchati. Anya vacha na vimunchati. Do not talk anything else. If you don't have anything to talk about Brahman, don't talk about anything else. At least Twitter or post sir. At least I will not talk, but at least I can be on the social media and put up a post, no? Instagram post at least, Teju. At least Instagram post we can make. If you don't have anything to talk about Brahman, don't talk. But constantly you can't talk about Brahman, then how you do? Anudvegagaram vakyam satyam priyam hitam. Chapter 17. Anudvegagaram vakyam satyam priyam hitam. In the 4 conditions, you are speaking satyam. So satyam doesn't mean simply being factual. Steya, not taking others' wealth. Ama sir, we don't steal, no sir. We don't steal. If you don't pay the right price, it's called stealing. Stealing doesn't mean actual stealing. That's why he keeps talking about bargaining, discount and all is stealing. So in Vedantic language, stealing means what? Anytime you ask for a bargain, anytime you wait for a discount, that is called stealing. But they are giving it, no sir, what to do? Whether they give or they don't give, your attitude is not to go for asteyam, not stealing. You follow what I'm saying? Otherwise, people go back thinking, I don't steal, sir. I only pay. No. Stealing doesn't mean actual robbing. It's not the actual thievery. Adalla naraka. We don't talk about such obvious common sense disciplines here. Such obvious common sense disciplines, you don't need Shastra to speak. So what is saying? Steyam, not taking, not stealing. Brahmacharyam. And the list allow Kudugla. He's only saying Drida Vrataha. That's all. What is the Vrata we are? We are elaborating what that Vratam means. That's all. He's only saying they practice firm. They are firm in their vows. Brahmacharya. What is Brahmacharya? Wherever you follow a regulated contact, that is called Brahmacharya. Any disciplined, regulated contact is called Brahmacharya. Opposite of that is indulgence. Opposite of Brahmacharya is indulgence. So anything that is regulated, that is called Brahmacharya. It means your abstinence is also regulated, your indulgences are also regulated. When abstinence and indulgence both are regulated, that is called Brahmacharya.
Abstinence and contact.
Yes. You don't unintelligently contact, you don't unintelligently run away. You can do unintelligent both. You can unintelligently stop contacting, or you can unintelligently keep contacting. So what does Brahmacharya means? Regulation. Regulation of what? When to contact, when not to contact. So when you are regulated in when to contact and when not to contact, then you are practicing Brahmacharyam. Brahmacharya doesn't mean no contact at all, because how can you not contact? Senses are there, it will keep contacting. So you cannot avoid that. So Brahmacharya is a discipline of regulated contact. Aparigraha. Aparigraha means not holding on to what you have earned. Again, Venkatachalam. Aparigraha means what? Not holding on to. Not holding on to what? Not holding on to what you have earned legitimately. Yeah? Some earnings are legitimate, some earnings are illegitimate, isn't it? So, real estate transaction, 70-30%, no sir, what to do, isn't it? 70-30, 60-40, sometimes 50-50 also, isn't it? What does aparigraha means? Aparigraha means not holding on to which you have earned, comma, don't put a full stop there, which you have earned, comma, legitimately. Illegitimate earning, you belong to Rakshasa Asura category straight away. Illegitimate earning means that is a Rakshasa Asura category straight away. So what are we even talking there? These disciplines is called Yama. These peoples are called Yama. And then comes Niyama. These 10 put together is called Dhrida Vrata. This 10 practices is called Vratam. Vrata means I'll have only idli, sir. Yeah, that is not, I'll have only idli and chutney, but no. Yeah. Sambar rice I will not have, but sambar idli I will have, isn't it? That is not Vratam, isn't it? Vratam means, Priyam means, Vratam means these 10 disciplines. Okay, first 5 we saw. What is the 5? Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Brahmacharya, Aparigraham, or set. Inner set. Kshama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Samadhana. These are the other 5. Titiksha, we know, isn't it? Titiksha, we know. Beautiful discipline. Tam Titikshasva Bharata. Agama Paino Nityaha, Tam Titikshasva Bharata. What is Titiksha? There is a pain. There is a suffering. There is a pain. And when you are suffering and when you are in pain, what do you do? What is Titiksha means? You cannot avoid the pain. Remember that. You cannot avoid the pain. You cannot escape from the pain. Why? You have already done some actions. You have already done some actions in the past, as a result of which the pain, you have to go through the pain. That pain cannot be avoided. Then what do you do? Then what do you do? At least don't cry. Don't cry. Don't complain. How can you not cry and complain when you are in pain, sir? How can you not do that? Isn't it? How can you not cry and complain when you are in pain? Knowledge supports that. What is the support? This pain is because of what I did in the past. By going through the pain, that is getting resolved anyway. All that I have to do now is what? Make sure not to create another round of pain. Purida, Vijay. Something I did in the past, I created a pain now. That which I have done in the past, I have to go through it. I have to experience it. I cannot escape. That's called prarabdha. No, I cannot escape that. It is already part of I have to experience it. The very fact that I have to experience it means what? I cannot escape from experiencing it, but I can choose how to experience it. Endure them. How do you endure them? Cheerfully. Yeah. Cheerfully. They say no. In the movie dialogue, Kulatur. வலிக்காத மாதிரி எவ்வளவு நேரம் தான் சிரிக்கிறது. That is called practicing titiksha. இடுக்கண் வருங்கால் நகுகன்னு சொன்னார் அவர். கஷ்டம் வந்தா சந்தோஷப்படுங்க. Be happy. That is titiksha. Why? Because some debts of you is getting wiped out. Happiness is because some debts are getting wiped out. Second reason for happiness is what? An alertness not to do it again. But both we don't do. What? When there is a pain, we will cry, complain. And then next day what we will do? Prepare ourselves for another round, isn't it? You get beaten up once, like a boxing ring madri, isn't it? Our life is like a boxing ring. You get into the boxing ring, get beaten up, and then take a break for what? Take a break only to come back again till you get knocked out, isn't it? Till you get knocked out, you have to come back again. Titiksha. This is called titiksha. Compassion. Compassion. Kshama means a compassion. Compassion is a inner urge of always wanting to be of some help to somebody. Whatever you do, you want to be of some help to somebody. That is called compassion. You want to be of some help. And then life has given us 3 methods by which we can be compassionate to others. To some, you have to show it in action. To some, you have to show it in words. For the rest, you can show it by thoughts. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. What is that? That is compassion, where by thought you are praying for the welfare of everyone. Welfare of everybody, nobody in particular. The moment you bring it in particular, it becomes a problem. So what do? You don't bring it in particular, you say it as overall. All these 10 disciplines, if you do, whatever the 10 we discussed, it develops vairagya. That person who has this vairagya, if they come in contact with the Shastra, if they come in contact with the Guru, what happens? Inner transformation happens. Inner transformation, then why do we need a Guru? These are all preparatory disciplines to get to the Guru. These are all preparatory disciplines to get to the Shastra, to get to the Guru. And if you don't have any of these, what the Guru will say? Keep developing this, keep developing this, keep developing this. Keep developing this. You have this yama niyama practices done, vairagya is developed, you have the right, you are doing Shravana, Manana properly and all that, you become the ultimate Mahatma. What is the ultimate Mahatma? Mumukshatva will develop. Mumukshatva. What is Mumukshatva? The longing for freedom. The intense longing to be, the intense longing to be free. The intense longing to be free is called Mumukshatva. Okay. All this put together, he simply said it as Drida Vrataha. He simply said Drida Vrataha. And I'm also not going into the details of all this Vratam and all that. He simply saying Drida Vrataha, that's all. And what is that? These are the list. Satatam Kirtayantaha. What is Satatam Kirtayantaha? Always glorifying me. Glorifying me means talking about me, singing about me, associating with me through satsang is Kirtayantaha. Associating with me through satsang is called Kirtayantaha. Kirtana literally means singing. Literally it means singing. But don't take the literal meaning here. Because if you take the literal meaning here, what will happen? If you take the literal meaning, what will happen? all of us will have to join music class. Huh? All of us will have to start singing. What is Kirtayanta? Kirtayanta doesn't mean singing. Singing is one of the method of associating. It's not singing. 90-95% of the people, including me, apaswaram if we sing, isn't it? Headache only comes, isn't it? To the listener. Yeah, to the singer also headache comes, listener also migraine comes, isn't it? Then what is Kirtayantaha means? Kirtayantaha doesn't mean literally singing, even though literally it means singing. We don't take the literal meaning here, we take the real meaning, the implied meaning. What is the implied meaning? Remembrance. Remembrance in various forms. Of the various forms of remembrance, singing is one. This association is very important. This Kirtayantaha association is this Kirtayantaha association is very valuable, very important. Why? Because the Shastra teaches. How does the Shastra teach? By catering to the intellect. How does the intellect how the intellect can understand? The intellect can understand by logic, reason. Logic, reason la is the spoon by which the intellect is fed. Logic, reason and all is the spoon by which the intellect is fed. அப்படின்னா ஓவரா கொடுக்க முடியாது. It can't be given too much. Because if you give too much, if you stuff too much in the mouth, what will happen? Therefore, little by little only it can be fed. Also, it has to be cut chewed later. Whatever is fed, you have to bring back and cut chew. All this is the process of, all this is the method by which you gain knowledge. Okay, it has to be fed little by little. You have to cut chew it, and then it has to be left alone also for a while. Rest of the time, what do you do? Venkatachalam. Don't do conflicting, contradictory actions. Practice karma bhakti. Rest of the time, what do? You don't do conflicting, contradictory actions and say, okay, I'll start something else. You do karma and bhakti. That is how it works. That's a discipline. Again, I repeat. Intellect can be fed only in small portions. Intellect cannot be fed a lot. You can feed it, but nothing will happen. Why? Because it won't get digested. So what happens? First, it has to be fed. And also when you fed, it is like feeding the child with the spoon, little by little. And then also what happens? Even that, it has to be brought back. You have to cut chew it. Then you have to do it. You have to cut chew it. You have to cut chew it. After cut chewing, you have to leave it for a while. Leaving it for a while is extracting butter from milk. That example talks about leaving it for a while. The cow talks about the cut chewing part, the grazing. The cow talks about the cut chewing part. Shravana, little bit doses, talks about the teaching part. So this is how knowledge goes in. It means you can't keep studying all the time. You can keep studying. What you can say, you can't study like that. Therefore, what is the other way around? Rest of the time, what do you do? Satatam kirtayantaha nischaya drida vrataha. So you do karma bhakti rest of the time. Knowledge gives you logic and reason. Though it is logical, though it is reasonable, mind will not cooperate. Always remember that. Though it is logical, though it is reasonable, mind will not cooperate. Example, liquor drinking is injurious to health, isn't it? Smoking causes, it's there, isn't it? Logic says, reasoning says, but the mind says what? So logic and reason, a matured mind transforms through logic and reason. So logic and reason is important. A distinct different practice to become mature is also important. The practice by which you become mature, upasate, upasana, you get closer to the reality is by the practice of karma and bhakti. So karma bhakti practice is one. Karma bhakti practice is one. The other practice, what is the other practice? Jnanam. That we will take up next week. We are not doing jnanam today. We are only discussing what is karma and what is bhakti. What is bhakti? Bhakti is remembrance of God through satsang. What is implied here is in the absence of Shastra and Guru. That is implied here. That's why bhakti will be done in the absence. Why? Because in front of the Guru, you don't have to do bhakti, no. The very presence of the Guru reminds you of the highest. So what is there to do bhakti there? I am doing bhakti with the Guru, sir. With the Guru, you do Shravana Manana. You don't do bhakti. Bhakti will be done or bhakti should be done in the absence. You follow what I am saying? And what is bhakti means? Ananya Chinta. Ananya Chinta. Ananya Chinta means the practice of bhakti is you associate with those who reminds you of the highest. But sir, if I am constantly thinking about the highest, what will happen to my life? You say, what will happen to my life? Now, where will I get bread and butter from? Isn't it? What will happen to my life? Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. How the world will grow, sir, then? Suddenly you'll be very interested in the development of the world now, isn't it? If everybody think of that, then how the world will grow? There is nothing in the world to grow. The human being should stop interfering. That's all. As it is good. Because the creation that came out of the Vedas as the knowledge, Vedas as the backup, the law is perfect. The law of life is clear. The law of life is perfect. There is no betterment and all there. Betterment is betterment in relation to only one. What? Inner personality betterment. But we think betterment means from the jungles to the hut, to the hut to the mud house, to the mud house to, from the mud house you move on to, I don't know, concrete house, huh?
Walled house.
Huh?
Walled.
A walled house. And then I don't know what all house is there. And then I don't know what other house. And then build a house in Mars also. In case if something happens in Earth, you can build a house in Mars also. This is understood as betterment. In Vedanta, betterment means inner personality. You follow what I am saying? Therefore, bhakti is not going to take you away from the betterment. Bhakti is that which focuses on the inner betterment. Because bhakti says it's the attitude with which you do your nitya naimittika karma. Bhakti is the attitude with which you do your obligatory duties. If you take bhakti means sitting and singing all the time, then your concept of bhakti is wrong. What is bhakti means? the attitude with which the obligatory duties are done is called is bhakti. So the attitude part of the obligatory duties is bhakti. Therefore, action is also taken, the obligatory duties are also taken care of, the right attitude is also taken care of. That's a wonderful combination of karma and bhakti. This karma and bhakti brings about a inner maturity. That inner maturity, first you have to get closer. Once you get closer, then the longing for aikyam will come. So level number 1, longing is to get closer to God. Longing number 2 is to develop, is to have aikyam. So longing number 1 is to get closer. Longing number 2 is to become one. This is verse number 13. With this, 14. With this, we will be concluding for today. I am finishing a bit early today. With this, we will conclude for today, and we'll continue with the same verse next week also, and then we'll move on to 15, the actual jnanam part. So we do that. 14 talks about karma bhakti, 15 is talking about jnana. And there are some clarifications which I'll take it up in the next session. And we are finishing the session early today. Normally we'll go out of time. Today, bonus before time, isn't it? Yeah, before time. We'll continue next week.